Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dungeon Dive. Daniel here. I hope you are doing well, and if you're not, I hope you are soon. Okay, today we are going to do a quick revisit of Cthulhu Death May Die. This is a game that I love a lot. It's in my top 50. I still think that this is Simon or Come On, whatever they want to be called. I still think this is their best game. And whenever I have really strong opinions about a game, I like to get it played again, to set it up and to play through it, and just to make sure that I still really do love it. And I think this is especially important for this game now because I know that they are going to be hitting a new Kickstarter soon for a new complete box game that can also be like an expansion. It's a big standalone game that is also an expansion, and I still really, really love this game. I might like it even more now. I don't know. It's such a fantastic game. So I wanted to do a really quick kind of overview of 5 things about this game. And 3 of them are things that I really enjoy. And 2 of them are criticisms. No game is perfect. And I think it's really important to point out, even in games that I love, to point out some of the things that I wish were a little better. So in this particular scenario, I have it set up. I am playing Monsters in Sin City from Season 2. This is Episode 5. I am playing solo with 2 characters. I am playing with Adila there. Magic and religion are the same. You cannot do one without the other. And my second character here is Ariel. And lions, sharks, elephants, boring. Give me something that hunts back. So I am playing them. We are going up against Hastur, the king in yellow here. Hastur has his or its disciples and cultists, and they are in this casino here. And this is a really fun scenario because in this casino, the cultists and the disciples of Hastur and a Hound of Tandalos and a Yug here, they are trying to complete a ritual in the casino, and I am trying to stay in the main casino building, keeping the enemies out, and finding items that I can use to exchange for poker chips so I can play poker at these games to get these lucky lady tokens. And I need 6 of the lucky lady tokens. I need fate. I need luck on my side in order to stop the ritual. And then once the ritual stops, I need to destroy Hastur there and put an end to the curse of the king in yellow. So that's kind of like the setup for this. This says, these cultists have hidden the elements of their ritual in this strange casino. We don't know if the people in this place are part of the ritual or just ensorcelled to ignore the huge monsters, but we know the gambling is all a giant spell. We have to win in the casino in order to disrupt the ritual. So the broad overview, the thing that I really do like about Cthulhu Death May Die is that it totally embraces the pulp side of the Cthulhu mythos. So the Cthulhu mythos is on a very wide spectrum. And to one end, you have the complete mystery of the unknown and slow and kind of dealing more with sanity and humanity, not being able to stand up against the great old ones and the elder ones. And so that is like the far end of the spectrum, represented by, the original stories of Lovecraft and Clark Ashton Smith and that kind of thing. And then over the many, many decades, dozens and dozens of different ways to experience the mythos have been created by all kinds of different authors and creators in all kinds of different mediums. And over those many decades, a more pulp-orientated style of Cthulhu mythos has arisen. And that is largely, I think, due to people like Brian Lumley and the Call of Cthulhu RPG, and then Fantasy Flight with their Arkham File games. And this completely embraces that pulp nature where our heroes can actually stand up. This is 2-fisted tales of the Call of Cthulhu, and it makes for a really, really fun and exciting game. But let's talk about my 5 points. So one of the main points that I like, and might be a little silly for some people, but for me, it is super, super important. And that is, once you set up the game Once you pick your investigators or your heroes, your survivors, once you pick your scenario, and once you pick your great old one, your elder one that you are going to fight, once you do all that and set everything up, you never have to go back into the box to find something else to set up. There is never a pause in gameplay to find another miniature, to find another tile, to find another card. Everything is set up at the beginning of the game, and the game is never interrupted one time. I love that, because so many times in these kinds of games, it seems like there are multiple minutes added up over the course of the game where somebody is going through a deck of cards, or somebody is opening up a box of minis, somebody's trying to find something, and these games are constantly being interrupted to introduce new things to the table. But that's not the case in this game. You set it up and you just start playing, and you never stop until the game is done. Usually until one of your guys dies or something like that, or faces a terrible end. But I really appreciate the game for that. I wish more of these kinds of thematic games were just set up, play, and put away. I love it. It adds so much to the game. Okay, so point number 2 here is the tension really hits in every scenario I've played. I not played, I think there's like 12 scenarios I haven't played all of them yet. But in every scenario I play, the tension, the game just begins with tension. There's not really a lot of buildup. You are in a small kind of confined place. The maps are usually pretty small. The game starts with some enemies already out on the map and some monsters. And your heroes start on a tile. And you have to start taking charge. You have to start doing important action-based, action movie-based actions from the very first turn. And I really like that. In some of the Arkham games, there's a slow buildup, and that buildup, that kind of buildup tension is fun also. But sometimes I just want something to I want the S to hit the fan a lot sooner. And this game is like that. In some ways, it reminds me of Kemet and Cyclades, where those games were dudes on a map, area control, fighting games. But there's no turtling in those games. Those games, when you set up, you are in direct conflict with your opponents from that very first turn. And this game also has that, but it's not competitive. You are in direct conflict with the game from the very first turn, and I really do enjoy that. Okay, point number 3 is about the characters here. And I absolutely love the way you have to manage 3 very simple stats, such as sanity, stress, and wounds. And more so than in other games like this, those stats are like a currency. Usually in games like this, stress, wounds, sanity, all they really trigger is the end of the game, is the end of your character, the death of that character. But in Cthulhu Death May Die, those 3 stats really are a currency, and they change a lot, way more so than in other games. The stress, or the sanity as a currency, you have to push yourself, and as you roll more dice, you might accidentally roll more sanity symbols. And you will take sanity, but you want to do that to a certain extent, because every time you hit one of those red thresholds, you get to level up one of your skills. And as you roll more dice, as you add more dice to your dice pool, or as you re-roll these black dice to try to get the results that you are looking for, the chances of you getting more sanity start to pile up. So you need to think about that. There's a little bit of a press your luck style mechanism there. And then stress is a really cool currency that you can spend in order to re-roll your dice. So again, there's a connection between the stress and the sanity there, because you might want to push your luck to re-roll, but you might get some more sanity. And then also, a lot of times you do have to spend your stress in order to pick up the various items that you will find in the game. And this is a really creative use of cards, kind of a bonus point here, a positive bonus point here in the use of these cards here, where you get to pick up the items. It has a little bit of a story, and then you can choose a left side item or a right side item to add to your character card. But a lot of times you have to have a certain amount of sanity. You have to spend a certain amount of sanity in order to pick up those cards. And then there is a rest action that you can take in order to regain or some of your stress, I should say. And then when your stress runs out, if you have to take more stress, then you have to start spending your wounds. And sometimes, and then direct damage also goes to your wounds. So there's also a relationship between those two stats. And I really do enjoy that in the game. It's a very simple but interesting way to manage those stats. Okay, so now a couple of negative points. And one of the main negative points I have about this game is it's pretty much the same as in all of CMON's kind of thematic games. It just, they never go that last step to really add to the theme. All of their thematic games are really light on lore. They're really light on flavor text. And I think that is a huge mistake. And they really do need to hire somebody who's kind of like a story editor for their games. And as a great example, okay, so Hastur. I know who Hastur is. I know what the King in Yellow is. I know what it does. I've read Robert W. Chambers. I've read Ambrose Bierce. I've read, all the Carcosa stuff. But there are a lot of people who don't know. And if you don't know what Hastur is, if you don't know what the yellow sign is, if you don't know what the yellow sign is, if you don't know what the King in Yellow is, there is nothing in this game really to give you any clue as to what those things are. So for a person who doesn't know, the Hastur is just this lump of plastic here. A Hound of Tandalos is just this lump of plastic and just this picture here. And that's a real shame, because what they could do is just it's especially shameful in this kind of fiction, because most of this lore, most of this fiction for this weird fiction, the Cthulhu mythos stuff, is in public domain. So they don't even have to hire somebody to creatively write a little bit about Hastur. They could just copy and paste some stuff from the public domain. And there are places on these boxes where they could give us just a little backstory. Just let the players know who Hastur is. Give a little bit of a history on the King in Yellow. What is the King in Yellow? What is the yellow sign? Why is it bad? Or maybe when you open up the box here, there could be something on the inside of the box. They just really need to go that little extra mile to introduce more of the theming and more of that flavor text in the games. They do that for the many characters that you get in the game. You do get a nice little backstory about the characters and a quote, and I really do enjoy that. And that is the kind of thing that I'm talking about. But they completely dropped the ball in this game and failed to give any kind of context to the enemies that you are engaging with. And a lot of times in these thematic games, it is the context that makes them feel more thematic. And it wouldn't be hard to do. It wouldn't take a lot of time. And I'm not quite sure why they do it. And then finally, my final complaint about this game, or my final criticism, I should say, I'm not complaining because I love this game. I think that the final showdown between the investigators, the heroes, and the ancient ones, the elder ones, the great old ones, I think it's a little too long. And I think that mainly has to do with, I think each stage of the final enemy, the final boss, has too much health, and it's too hard to hit them. And the game is building up tension. It's super exciting and it's awesome until the final dude comes out on the board, and then you just have to fight him. And a lot of times you're just kind of like standing around and you're just rolling dice. You're not moving a lot. The excitement kind of comes to a stop, and very rarely is the final confrontation exciting. And I have that same criticism with a lot of the Fantasy Flight Arkham File games. I think that Elder Sign, actually with that little expansion, that epic final battle expansion, injects some more excitement into that last standoff. And I wish there was something in this game like this that just made that last battle a little more dynamic. But overall, this is a fantastic game. I have no regrets putting it in my top 50. I think it's going to stay in my top 50 for a really long time. It's such a fun game, especially if you like that kind of two-fisted Call of Cthulhu pulp action. Then I can't imagine anybody really not liking this game. I'm not sure if I'm going to do the new Kickstarter just because I don't think I need another big box of this. I might do it just for like the stretch goals box possibly, and then maybe sell the main box just so I can maybe get some kind of new expansion or something for the stuff that I already have. So, all right, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed taking this revisiting Call of Cthulhu Death May Die, and we will talk to you later. Bye-bye.